as a follow-up to our last Dvar Torah on Parashat Vayera. So I wanted to continue a little bit on this theme of Avraham going out of his way for his children, going out of his way for the world, helping people, and maybe even helping people who don't necessarily deserve as much to be helped. So we mentioned in the last recording that Sarah noticed, she saw that Ishmael was being a very bad influence on Yitzchak, to the point that Rashi even learns based on the Midrash that Ishmael is trying to kill Yitzchak and try and hide that fact that he's trying to kill him. But ultimately, Avraham sends him away, and he even sends him away with bread and water. We gave a couple of interpretations about what's behind the bread and the water, but on the simple level, you see that even if he agrees with everything, there's a certain baseline that Avraham has for humanity, and especially for his son, but even not for his son, because we see earlier in the parasha, it's a very similar idea. So here's the idea that I heard from Rabbi Kahn. I heard a couple of years ago. I heard it during Corona, and I remember when I first heard it was hard for me to accept it, and I didn't like parts of it. I'm going to tell you the parts that I think are awesome. But I want to tell you the parts that I didn't like, and now I want to tell you now with what's going on in Israel how I was wrong, and I actually called up Rabbi Kahn to tell him that it's actually unbelievable Dvar Torah, and I wasn't in the place yet myself in maturity or understanding of what could happen in the world to see what he had to say. So I want to say what he had to say over, and I think it's big stuff. And if those who want to hear his original, I can send you the recording of his original. So Rabbi Kahn writes in his book is called Healing and Repairing, Essays on Sefer Bereshit. He writes on this week's Parsha Vayera, he has a chapter called The Inadvertent Trial of Sedom. And then recently this week, he re-recorded a version of it that relates to the war going on here in Israel. Okay, so what's his argument in this chapter? He says that we look at Avraham from the start of the parasha is super chesed. This guy is like the pillar of kindness. To the point that when the angels come, he's doing everything possible to give them the greatest stays. He's making them meals and taking care of them. And he's even sitting out there days after doing the Brit Milah in pain that he really wants so much to do chesed, but God brings out the sun to make it so hot that no one's going to bother him because he needs to heal himself. But he's still sitting out there in the sun waiting for people to come because Avraham really is the pillar of chesed and kindness. And even after doing a Brit Milah at the age of 99 years old, he still wants to do kindness and he still wants to help people. That's what he's all about. And then the angels come and he speaks to the angels. And Rabbi Kahn notes that Rashi speaks about how when the angels come, there's like this theme in the background of like a court case taking place. You can read the details beyond the scope of this recording of this court case that seems to be taking place behind the scenes. Then the angels come, and the angels seem to have a double mission. One, they're coming to speak to Avraham, tell him he's going to have a son, and then two out of the three angels continue to the evil city of Sedom to destroy the city of Sedom. And as they're leaving, God comes back to Avraham and says, I can't hide from Avraham what I'm about to do. Avraham just did a Brit Milah at the end of last week's parasha. His name has been changed to Avraham with a hey, which means that he's Av Hamon Goyim. He's now the father of many nations, not just of Aram, but he's really of the whole world. If I'm going to destroy the nation of Sedom, I have to let Avraham know. Why? Because Avraham because he says that Avraham is one of the greatest guys who knows how to teach his kids tzedakah and mishpat. He knows how to teach them how to be righteous, how to do chesed, how to be kind, to do tzedakah, and also mishpat, what is right and what is wrong. And he tells Avraham, I'm going to destroy the city of Sedom. And Avraham immediately starts the fight. He says, God, what are you talking about? Maybe there's 50 righteous people. Maybe there's 45. Maybe there's 40. Are there no innocent people in Sedom? And Avraham and God basically says, no, there aren't, and that's why I'm destroying them. That's why I'm speaking to you. But we see this like Avraham really fighting for them. Now, it's very important to note, if you look very closely at the Torah, Avraham is not fighting for the Reshaim. Evil people, he understands mishpat, he understands justice. You gotta have moral clarity, and you have to get rid of evil people. But he says, but maybe the cities can be saved and don't destroy it because there are some innocent people there. And God says, no, there aren't. There aren't even 10. The only ones that are left are Lot and his family, and God's going to go in there and try to save them. Then we fast forward to the angels keep going. So it's a continuation of the same story. And they go to the city of Sedom. And we see this evil city of Sedom try to kill these angels. They don't do kindness. They're known as the anti-kindness people. They're everything that Avraham stands for. They're the exact opposite. So Rabbi Kahn wanted to argue that what's the background noise in the background of the commentators about a court case? That part of the court case, Avraham, by Avraham showing how great and how kind the Jewish people can be, that he's going to fight for every single innocent person that's out there in Sedom, that's actually becoming part of the prosecution against Sedom. That every single level that Avraham does kindness and fights for them is one more nail in the coffin that God says, oh, if there could be a guy like Avraham that's so great, then the evil of Sedom is so evil, I really have to destroy them. So that was Rabbi Kahn's Dvar Torah from a couple of years ago. And I have to say, a couple of years ago, it was hard for me to accept that, because I'm saying, oh, you mean Avraham doing this kindness and fighting so hard, that's going to be the nail in the coffin for the Sedom? But that's against what Avraham stands for. Avraham's trying to fight for them. He wants to fight for any innocent person he possibly can. But I think with the reality of the war that we have today, it actually, it makes a lot of sense, and this is what I wasn't mature enough to understand back then. But you could have people that are so evil, and we have these enemies, these Hamas terrorists that are so evil, and we don't pray for those evil ones. Avraham never prayed for the Rashaim. Hamas has got to go down, but we can still care about the innocent people there. And you really know, as Jews, we do. Jewish people care for innocent. We don't want innocent people to die. We don't want them to. That's terrible for us, and we can cry for them too. But our strength is in our kindness, and we see what's going on in Israel right now with all the chesed that is happening, the kindness and kindness. I saw other people are giving Divrei Torah this year, speaking about Avraham's eshel tree with the fruit tree and feeding everybody, and the level of feeding we're doing in this country, the level that we're doing with fruits and vegetables. We had down in the south where all those the kibbutzim that were destroyed, that the people were murdered and the workers have run away. So now people are trying to help. And in my neighborhood, somebody came with tomatoes that were picked from Otef Aza, from that community that's no longer there, but they were able to make it back just to pick their produce of tomatoes. And we were all buying it here in Beit Shemesh, trying to support. But you just see the level of the fruits and the picking. And this week's parsha on Avraham's eshel tree. So I saw Divrei Torah coming out about picking the fruit. That's a big chesed that's happening for the country right now, but really helping each other. And it's really what we've come together as a nation to anywhere possible to do tzedakah, anywhere possible to do kindness. And I want to thank everybody in Chutz La'aretz with the tzedakah and with the stuff that's being sent over. That's our greatness. That's why God picks Avraham and says, I'm going to speak to you about Sedom. But then the inadvertent trial that Rabbi Kahn is saying, it's the chesed and the kindness that's taking place, is going to be that nail in the coffin to get rid of those Rashaim. Amen.